When a silent man is disrespected, he doesn't explode. He doesn't argue. He doesn't defend himself. He does something far more powerful and permanent. If you've ever wondered what happens when a calm, quiet man reaches his limit, this video will show you the 7 psychological responses that change everything. And trust me, you don't want to be on the receiving end of number 7. Before we dive into the 7 responses, you need to understand why silent men are so often underestimated. Society mistakes silence for weakness. People assume that because a man doesn't react immediately, he won't react at all. They think his calmness means he's passive, that his patience means he's a pushover. This is a dangerous miscalculation. Silent men aren't weak. They're strategic. They observe. They calculate. They choose their battles carefully because they understand something most people don't. True power doesn't need to announce itself. Carl Jung said, "The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong." Silent men understand this. They don't waste energy on nonsense. But when disrespect crosses a line, when someone mistakes patience for permission, the silent man's response is swift, calculated, and irreversible. If you're a silent man watching this, hit the subscribe button. You're in the right place. And if you know a silent man, pay attention, because what I'm about to reveal will explain behaviors you've probably witnessed but never understood. Response number 1, the withdrawal. This is the first sign that a line has been crossed. The silent man doesn't confront you. He doesn't explain what you did wrong. He simply withdraws. His energy shifts. Conversations become shorter. Eye contact decreases. The warmth that was there before, gone. Here's what's happening psychologically. The silent man is creating emotional distance to protect his peace. He's not playing games. He's not trying to manipulate you into apologizing. He's genuinely removing his presence from your life. Most people miss this warning sign. They think he's just having a bad day. They assume things will go back normal. They don't realize this is the beginning of something permanent. The withdrawal is his way of saying, "You've shown me who you are, and I'm adjusting accordingly." And here's the thing about silent men. Once they withdraw, they rarely come back. Because the withdrawal isn't emotional. It's logical. It's a decision, not a reaction. Response number 2, the calculated response. If the disrespect continues, the silent man doesn't lose his temper. Instead, he calculates his response with surgical precision. This is where people realize they've made a mistake. Because the silent man has been observing. He knows your weaknesses. He understands your patterns. And when he responds, it's not emotional. It's strategic. He might expose your hypocrisy in front of others. He might withdraw support you didn't realize you depended on. He might simply state a truth about you that cuts deeper than any insult. The Stoics called this responding from a place of reason, not emotion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." The silent man's calculated response isn't about revenge. It's about establishing boundaries and demonstrating that his silence was never weakness, it was choice. And when he chooses to speak, people listen, because they know he doesn't waste words. Response number 3, the emotional detachment. This is where things get cold. The silent man stops caring about your opinion, your feelings, or your presence in his life. It's not anger. Anger would mean he still cares. This is indifference. And indifference is far more powerful than anger. Psychologically, this is called emotional disengagement. It's a protective mechanism where the brain decides that someone is no longer worth emotional investment. You'll notice this when he stops explaining himself to you. Your approval no longer matters to him. He treats you with polite distance, like a stranger. He doesn't react to your attempts to provoke him. Most people panic when they realize this has happened. They try to re-engage. They apologize. They explain. But here's the brutal truth. Once a silent man emotionally detaches, the relationship is over. Not officially, maybe, but energetically, done. Because silent men don't detach lightly. They gave you chances. They extended patience. They hoped you'd recognize the line before you crossed it. But you didn't. And now, you're just background noise. Response number 4, the strategic silence. After disrespect, the silent man's silence becomes even more intentional. It's no longer just his nature, it's a weapon. He stops sharing information with you. He stops including you in decisions. He stops giving you access to his thoughts, his plans, his world. This is psychological warfare at its finest. Because humans crave connection and information. When someone goes completely silent on us, it creates anxiety. We wonder what they're thinking. We second-guess our actions. We realize how much we depended on their input. The silent man knows this, and he uses it. But here's what makes this different from manipulation. He's not trying to control you. He's simply removing your access to him. You're no longer in his inner circle. You're no longer trusted. And trust, once broken with a silent man, is almost impossible to rebuild. Sun Tzu said, "In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity." The silent man creates chaos in your mind simply by refusing to engage. And in that chaos, you reveal your true character. Response number 5, the boundary enforcement. Silent men are patient, but they're not doormats. When disrespect happens, boundaries get enforced. Hard. This might look like cutting off communication completely, refusing to engage in certain conversations, removing you from his life without explanation, setting clear limits on what he'll tolerate going forward. The difference between a silent man's boundaries and everyone else's? He doesn't negotiate them. He doesn't explain them repeatedly. He doesn't give you multiple chances to respect them. He states them once, maybe twice, and then he enforces them through action, not words. This is rooted in Stoic philosophy. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Silent men have been listening. They've heard your disrespect. And now they're acting. Most people are shocked by how firm these boundaries are. They're used to people who threaten consequences but never follow through. Silent men are the opposite. They rarely threaten. They just act. And once that boundary is enforced, there's no going back. Response number 6, the permanent distance. This is where the relationship dies. Not with a fight, not with drama, just distance. The silent man moves on. He doesn't hold grudges because grudges require emotional energy. Instead, he simply reorganizes his life without you in it. You might still see him. You might still interact. But the connection? Gone. The trust? Destroyed. The intimacy? Never coming back. This permanent distance is different from temporary anger. When most people get upset, they eventually cool down and reconnect. Not the silent man. When he creates distance, it's architectural. He's rebuilt his life, and there's no room for you in the new blueprint. Psychologists call this relationship termination. But for silent men, it's not dramatic. There's no announcement, no final conversation, no closure. He just moves forward, without you. And here's what makes this so final. Silent men don't make impulsive decisions about relationships. By the time they create permanent distance, they've thought it through from every angle. They've considered reconciliation. They've weighed the pros and cons. They've given you every chance. The decision is final because it's been thoroughly processed. You're not getting another chance because you already had all of them. Response number 7, the complete indifference. This is the final stage, the one you don't want to reach, because this is where you cease to exist in his world. Not as an enemy, not as someone he dislikes. You simply don't matter. He doesn't think about you. He doesn't wonder how you're doing. He doesn't care if you've changed. He doesn't hope for reconciliation. You're not even on his radar anymore. This is different from all the previous responses because those still involved some level of engagement. Even strategic silence requires awareness. But complete indifference? You're erased. Psychologically, this is the brain's ultimate protection mechanism. When someone has caused enough harm, the mind literally stops processing them as important. You become scenery, background noise, irrelevant. And here's the brutal reality. You can't come back from this. You can apologize, he won't care. You can explain, he won't listen. You can try to reconnect, he won't engage. Because to care about your apology, he'd have to care about you. And he doesn't. Not anymore. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. As well the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind." The The silent man has cast off his skin. He's evolved past needing you, thinking about you, or being affected by you. You wanted to test his patience. You wanted to see how far you could push. Now you know. The answer is too far. So now you know the 7 responses of a silent man when he's disrespected. If you're watching this and recognizing these patterns in someone you know, here's my advice. Don't wait until response 7. Don't assume you have unlimited chances. Silent men give you every opportunity to course correct. Every response is a warning sign. Every withdrawal is a chance to reflect. Every boundary is an invitation to respect. But if you ignore all of it, if you mistake patience for weakness, you'll find yourself on the outside, wondering what happened. And the answer is simple. You happened. You chose disrespect over respect. You chose to test limits over honoring boundaries. You chose to take advantage of patience over appreciating it. For the silent men watching, your responses are valid. Your boundaries are necessary. Your peace is worth protecting. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for removing toxic people from your life. You're not cold. You're not unforgiving. You're not heartless. You're protective of your energy. And that's not just okay. It's essential. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to this channel. Drop a comment telling me which response you've either experienced or witnessed. Share this with a silent man who needs to hear that his approach is valid. And remember, silence isn't weakness. It's observation. It's strategy. It's power. The question isn't whether the silent man will respond to disrespect. The question is, will you recognize the warning signs before it's too late?